Hello everyone and welcome back. It was a warm summer evening in the sleepy coastal town of Seabrook, Maine, USA, where the sound of crashing waves and the scent of salt water filled the air. But on July 22nd, 2016, the tranquility of this idyllic town was shattered by a crime so shocking it would leave the community reeling for years to come. The victim was 37-year-old Claire Bennett, a free-spirited artist known for her vibrant paintings of the ocean and her bohemian lifestyle. Claire had moved to Seabrook 5 years earlier, seeking inspiration from the rugged coastline and the tight-knit community of artists and fishermen. She lived in a small, colorful cottage on the edge of town, where she spent her days painting and her evenings hosting bonfires for friends and neighbors. But beneath Claire's carefree exterior lay a troubled past one that would soon come back to haunt her in the most devastating way. On the night of her disappearance, Claire had been hosting one of her famous bonfires, with a dozen or so friends gathered around the crackling flames. The mood was light and festive, with laughter and music filling the air as the group toasted marshmallows and shared stories. But as the night wore on, Claire seemed distracted, her usual spark dimmed by something she refused to talk about. Around 11 p.m., she excused herself, saying she needed to fetch more firewood from the shed behind her cottage. Her friends thought nothing of it at first, but when Claire didn't return after 20 minutes, they began to worry. A search of the property turned up nothing: no Claire, no firewood, and no sign of a struggle. The only clue was a single flip-flop lying in the dirt near the shed, its strap broken as if it had been ripped off in a hurry. The police were called, and a massive search effort was launched, but Claire was nowhere to be found. Her disappearance sent shockwaves through Seabrook, a town where violent crime was almost unheard of. Rumors began to swirl. Had Claire run away, or had something sinister happened to her? The police focused their attention on Claire's ex-boyfriend, 40-year-old Jake Morrison, a local fisherman with a reputation for being hot-tempered and possessive. Jake and Claire had broken up just a month earlier after a tumultuous 2-year relationship, and their split had been anything but amicable. Witnesses reported seeing Jake arguing with Claire outside the town's general store just days before her disappearance, his voice raised and his fists clenched. But Jake had an alibi. He claimed to have been out on his boat that night, fishing alone, with no one to corroborate his story. As the investigation deepened, the police uncovered a series of disturbing details about Claire's past. They learned that she had been married once before, to a man named Daniel Harris, who had served time in prison for. Daniel had been released 2 years earlier and had since disappeared, but Claire had confided in a friend that she was terrified he would come looking for her. The police tracked Daniel down to a small town in New Hampshire, where he was living under an assumed name. When questioned, Daniel denied any involvement in Claire's disappearance, but his alibi was shaky, and his history of violence made him a prime suspect. Meanwhile, Jake Morrison's behavior grew increasingly suspicious. He was seen burning something in a barrel behind his house and had suddenly sold his boat for cash. The police obtained a warrant to search Jake's property, where they found a blood-stained shirt hidden in the attic and a shovel with dirt still clinging to its blade. The case took a dramatic turn when a local dog walker discovered a shallow grave in the woods just outside of town. Inside was Claire's body, her hands bound with rope and a single gunshot wound to the back of her head. The discovery sent shockwaves through Seabrook, and the police quickly zeroed in on Jake as their prime suspect. But just as they were preparing to arrest him, a shocking piece of evidence emerged: a letter found in Claire's cottage, addressed to her best friend and marked to be opened in case of my death. In the letter, Claire revealed that she had been blackmailing Jake, threatening to expose his involvement in a illegal lobster poaching operation if he didn't leave her alone. She also wrote that she feared for her life, believing that Jake would stop at nothing to silence her. The letter was a bombshell, but it also raised new questions. Had Jake killed Claire to protect his secret, or was someone else involved? The police arrested Jake and charged him with Claire's murder, but the trial that followed was anything but straightforward. Jake's defense team argued that the letter proved Claire had enemies, and that Daniel Harris was the more likely suspect. But the prosecution painted a damning picture of a man driven to murder by greed and desperation. They presented evidence that Jake had been deeply in debt, and that Claire's blackmail had pushed him over the edge. In the end, the jury found Jake guilty of first-degree murder, and he was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. But the story didn't end there. In the years following Jake's conviction, more details about Claire's life and death came to light. Investigators discovered that she had been working on a series of paintings depicting the illegal activities of local fishermen, including Jake's poaching operation. Her art, once celebrated for its beauty, now took on a darker meaning, revealing the hidden underbelly of the town she had loved so much. Claire's family established the Claire Bennett Memorial Fund, dedicated to supporting artists who use their work to expose injustice and spark change. Today, her cottage has been turned into a gallery where her paintings hang as a testament to her courage and her unyielding commitment to the truth. The town of Seabrook has slowly healed, but the memory of Claire Bennett and the shocking crime that took her life will never be forgotten. Her story serves as a powerful reminder of the dangers faced by those who dare to speak out against corruption, and the enduring impact of one woman's fight for justice. And while the waves still crash against the shore and the salt water still fills the air, the people of Seabrook know that beneath the surface of their idyllic town lies a story of love, betrayal, and the high cost of seeking the truth. Claire's legacy lives on, not just in her art, but in the hearts of those who continue to fight for a better, more just world.